Good evening, everyone, and welcome back for another Taffy Live. So sorry we're a little late dealing with a bit of technical difficulties, but we are all sorted out and ready to go. Once again, my name is Sabrina, and I'll be your host this evening. Little bit about me. I'm an assistant production manager with Big Jump Entertainment, but more importantly, I work outreach with Taffy to help bring all of you the latest and greatest from what's arguably the best industry to work in. Speaking of work, we have our annual job fair coming up in less than 1 week, coming up on Monday on our Discord server, virtually this year once again. So if you're not in our Discord server, be sure to join and so you don't miss out on any of the awesome booths we have coming. Talk directly to your favorite studios, and trust me, you won't want to miss this chance to get to know all of the incredible recruiters stopping by. Not sure which booth to check out first? Easy fix to that. Today, I've got Lindsay with me from Jamfield Toronto here to talk about why their studio is a must stop for everyone stopping by at the job fair. Thank you so much for joining me today, Lindsay.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, super excited to have you. I personally huge fan of Jamfield. But for anyone out there who might not be super familiar with the studio, tell us about a couple of projects that you guys have worked on that we're gonna instantly recognize, and we're never gonna forget who Jamfield is ever again.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, most recently, you may have heard of Dino Ranch, Tale Dark and Grim on Netflix, as well as Inside Job, also on Netflix. Those are some more recent projects. We've also been working on The Loud House for quite a while, as well as like Casa Grandes. Um, a little while back, we worked on Kingdom Force, DC Superhero Girls, Thomas and Friends. We've got quite a slew of projects under our belt for sure. And Bubble Guppies, that's more for preschool, but I'm sure some of you guys have little ones out there. So working on that too. Yeah, and then some exciting new projects in the works as well.
Yeah, you guys have quite the slew of exciting projects that have pumped out and that I'm sure you guys are working on. Super excited to see what comes out of your studio next. But let's get right into the nitty gritty. So, what makes Jamfield such a great studio? Like, why do we have to be a part of the Jamfield experience?
Sure. I mean, we've been around for a while now. We've got 3 studios in Ottawa, Toronto, and in Halifax as well. So we're kind of dotted all across the East Coast. And then we've got both 2D and 3D projects in house. So there's definitely a ton of opportunity to go around. We've got currently around 8 projects on the go, both 2D and 3D projects, various demographics. Like I said, we worked on like Inside Job, which is definitely like an adult, comedy cartoon. We've got and Final Space as well is like leaning more towards adult, and then we've got like Bubble Guppies, which is like the complete opposite to like very very young, like preschool age. And there's some in between there, like Loud House and Casa Grandes, which are kind of aimed more towards around the teenage stage. And obviously the people here are incredible. That's definitely my favorite thing about working for Jamfield is just all the amazing people I work with, the artists, the production staff, the corporate employees. Like everyone here is just amazing. I've only been with Jam for about a year now, and I'm loving it. I've mostly worked offline, like I mean, like online, I guess. So I've very rarely met anybody in person who I work with, but everyone is just even working from home. I feel like very welcomed into the culture, and I feel like I'm still connected with everyone, and I think that says a lot about the company and about the kind of culture that we have. Is just we stay connected. We've got like an IM system. We've got what we call the Jamfield Cafe, which is like a forum on Microsoft Teams. We've got like bingo once a month, which is super fun and always a trip. It's like it's funny and wacky and just like a good way to break up your day and see a bunch of people you might not regularly see. And yeah, it's honestly, it's been great. So yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like an exciting time over at Jamfilled. Now you mentioned you started working with them mid-pandemic, work from home. Why don't you tell us a bit about that? What's it like working from home with Jamfilled? And now that the pandemic seems to kind of be slowing down and the government's opening things back up,
Mhm.
how does the studio plan to proceed? Are you guys going to have a work from home in studio hybrid? Is it going to go fully one way or the other? Have you guys figured that out yet?
I mean, I think everybody's kind of playing it by ear because everything changes on almost a daily basis.
That's true.
But for the most part, we are working on a return to office kind of strategy, where we do have some of our employees going back into the studios now, and it's more of a like what the artists feel comfortable with, and if we can accommodate them to work from home or work from the studio, or a bit of both. If they want to like work from home, 2 or 3 days a week and work from the studio 2 or 3 days a week, it's something that we're open to discussing with every person kind of individually, and just seeing what works best for people. Obviously, that's one of the benefits that's come out of the pandemic, is just being able to have the flexibility to work from home. And it saves a lot of people money and commute and time, and it saves, like if people are feeling like a little bit more productive when they're working from home, or if they enjoy socializing from working from the studio, we want to have that option for people. There's definitely a lot of like flexibility in terms of working from home for our artists too. Like I know some of our artists have like families, and they're like, oh, my kid is sick, I have to stay at home and watch my kid. It like allows for a lot more flexibility that way as well. Um, for me, I actually live a little bit outside of Toronto, and I get to spend more time with my cats this way, and I'm pretty happy about it. So,
We all love getting our little furry assistants working from home.
absolutely.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, we want to offer our artists like the opportunity to continue working from home. So yeah, it's a bit up in the air, as I mentioned, and I think it is for most studios at this time. But yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on at Jam in terms of COVID.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. And I think it's a great approach to kind of start to offer different people like, hey, if you want to go back into the studio, we can talk about it. And if you want to be home, we can talk about that too, kind of giving the employees a way to kind of almost customize their like employment experience with you guys, which I think is super cool. Definite work perk. And speaking of work perks, what kind of perks or opportunities and like benefits do you guys
Yeah.
offer your employees?
Yeah, so we offer secondary healthcare benefits to our employees, usually after 3 months of working with us. And like I mentioned, there's a lot more like flexibility in people's schedule with being able to work from home. So we do have core work hours when you need to be there like 9 to 5 if somebody needs you there from 9 to 5. But if you're the type of person who likes to sleep in a bit and work a little later, as long as you're communicating with your team and your supervisor, there's definitely some flexibility in schedule for certain positions at least. And we do try to pride ourselves on a great work-life balance. We want our employees to be able to sign off when they're done their workday, and not have to continue working into like the wee hours of the morning. Obviously, I think with any studio and any like crunch time, there's going to be those instances where maybe you do have to do like an extra hour here or there, but we do try to make sure that you are compensated for that in one way or another. We have master classes and lunch and learns. We've done a few master classes with James Baxter, which has been really awesome.
That's
Um, and I mentioned bingo already, but I'll mention it again. We've got when we're in person, we've got. I've heard there are amazing parties to be had, but we've had some pretty cool online parties as well, like Christmas party and things like that. So We do try to have like events throughout the year where people can be engaged outside of a more like work setting. As far as like opportunity, as I mentioned, because we have so many productions on the go, there's definitely opportunity to move on to other productions once you've finished your contract on one show. Um, there's also opportunity to grow, like to go from being maybe an animator to a lead to a supervisor to a director, like who knows, you know. And then there's also the opportunity to try out different departments as well. So we have an internal recruitment process where if you're an internal employee, we want you to like apply to those opportunities and say like, hey, you know, I've been animating for a while, I want to try out storyboard revisionists. And um, then we would like maybe test you for it, see if you have the right portfolio to fit the position. We're open to people moving departments if that's what they want to try out, if that's what they're interested in. And there's definitely some people internally who are open to coaching and mentoring our artists to do so as well. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds absolutely amazing. And if anyone is sitting here watching this and is like, man, I want to get in on that, uh, how can they get in on that? What kind of positions are you guys offering right now? What are you
Yeah.
hiring for?
So the majority of our positions that are open right now are in 3D. Unfortunately for the 2D people at this time. So we do have a couple new shows starting on the 3D side. So we're looking for pretty much every 3D department at the moment. Everything from like modeling, rigging, definitely rigging if there's any riggers out there, and animators as well. Like we're looking for a bunch of animators for actually 4 different shows at the moment.
Oh,
So
wow.
if you are a 3D animator, we are looking for you. And yeah, lighters, shot finalers, layout artists, pretty much every department in 3D. Yeah, send us a note, apply.
Great. Yeah. And are you guys looking for seniors, intermediates, juniors?
Yeah, it's a bit of everything at the moment. Certain positions we are looking for, a little bit of everything, especially the animators, because it is such a large department.
Mhm.
We do have more opportunity to look at everything from junior through to senior. Um, but for a more one-off position, sometimes we do focus on, the more senior talent. But that isn't to say that we wouldn't consider somebody more junior if they're the right fit. So don't ever let excuse me. Don't ever let that hinder you from applying to a position. I think, if there's a position that you're interested in, I say go for it. Send in your application. The worst that will happen is you'll get a no, and then you just try again for next time. But inevitably, we'll have your information on file, and we can always reference it for future opportunities if we're like, hey, we weren't looking for a junior layout artist last month, but we are now. So this person applied and they look great. So let's reach out and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super awesome. And what do you guys look for in your candidates?
Honestly, like obviously talent.
Yeah.
We want to make sure, when you're applying for a position, we want to make sure that you're a fit for that position. So if you're applying for an animator position, we want to see an animation reel. If you're applying for an animation position and you're showing me a design portfolio, then I'm going to be like, where's the animation here? So just a little
Fair
advice.
enough.
But ultimately, we look for talent, obviously. But again, that's something that can grow if you're a junior and you're new to the industry. If there's like a spark in your reel that we're like, okay, maybe not all shots are perfect, but this one's really great, and I can see some like talent coming through there. And then just if you communicate well, if you kind of click with the team, like if you interview and they're like, hey, this person's great, they have a great attitude, they are really open, things like that go a long way. Obviously in animation there's a lot of introverted people, but um, that's fine too. Like we hire introverts, obviously. We hire extroverted people. So again, don't let that stop you from applying. Just a positive attitude, like I said, goes such a long way, and just the openness to like learn and to um, work from feedback and things like that. So I guess I I hope that answers your question. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a lot. You said a lot of great things for people to consider, especially, it's graduation season. We got a lot of new students who are hitting the market, and I'm sure a lot of them are very nervous and they're like, "Oh, I don't know what to do. What are they expecting?" So I think you had a lot of really really great stuff for them to be like, "Oh yeah, I should consider that and I should work on that. I still have a couple more days left before the job fair. Let's get her done."
I will say, to all the juniors coming out, yeah, I mean, nerves they're a thing. I mean, I'm a little nervous right now, gotta be honest.
You're doing great.
But I mean, everybody in this industry is like so open and welcoming. And we were all in your shoes at one point, so we know what you're going through, and we know how it feels to kind of enter the job market. So just think of us as you, but in a few years.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get your foot in the door and you'll grow and you'll be the awesome you, but just a little more awesome.
I like that. That's great.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Uh, so does Jamfield ever offer any kind of internships?
So we do have a bit of what we call like a student. What do we call it? Sorry, I have notes on this one. We have like student positions. We don't have a like solid internship program in place, but we are looking to expand our internships in the future, and like work with more schools and work with all three of our studios on an internship kind of level. Um, so we have offered some student positions in the past where again it's like on a smaller degree. And they're paid positions. They're like no quota positions as well. So if we did offer somebody one of these roles, you wouldn't be expected to like hit the ground running and like meet full quota like day one. We
Yeah.
would love for you to get to that point, by the time you're done your internship, because we would want it to be like a learning opportunity for anyone where you take in the mentorship and you take in how to get a shot done within a certain amount of time, or how to get a design done within a certain amount of time. But yeah, inevitably being that person that can enter the industry when you're finished school and feel like more confident about it. So that would be our goal for like those student positions. As I mentioned, we are looking to expand it in the future. So we're hoping that maybe by next year we'll have a more like solid process in place. Inevitably, it is dependent on the productions that we have in the studio, budgets, and like the positions that are available at that time. Like if we have a large team that has the capacity to bring on an intern and to mentor them and give them what they need, then awesome. But if it's a small team that's kind of like falling a bit behind and needs to, catch up, bringing on an intern might, the intern might not be able to get the full experience that they would need. So we want to make sure that we're in the best place possible to bring someone on in that capacity before doing so. So yeah, hopefully, next year we will have more opportunities. But yeah, I mean, it never hurts to at least reach out to us and see what's going on, and yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are not going to be intimidated by your lack of internships, and they're still going to reach out and be like, "Hey, I'm fresh meat, but I got this, so give me a chance."
And I will also add to that, anyone that's like graduating from school, Typically, our internships or internships in general, I've worked for 3 different studios now, and internships in general are usually for students who are still in school, who are about to enter their like final year or final semester. So it's a student position versus if you're graduating out of school and you have no more school left, we wouldn't offer an internship. We would offer like a full-on job. So it would be a junior position versus like an internship. So keep that in mind as well. So if you are graduating or if you have graduated, we would typically just offer a full-time position at that point.
Yeah, there you go, grads. Just go for it. Get that first job. You got this. Yeah, no, all you gotta do is show up at the job fair and ask. And speaking of the job fair, what kind of people are you hoping stop by the jam filled booth? Who are you looking forward to talking to?
Again, 3D people. Any 3D people out there? We're looking for you. Yeah, I mean, we're just excited to meet people. It's just I mean, 2D people too. It's always amazing to like network with people at events like Taffy. There's so many talented people in Canada, in Ontario, worldwide actually. That it's just great to make connections and to network, and maybe you just need some advice on like how to better your portfolio or how to navigate an interview or what you should do when you're talking to an animation director, things like that. Like just pop by and there are so many great studios at Taffy this year. So I definitely recommend everyone comes and just says hi, even if you have like 20 minutes to kill. Just come by someone's booth and Jamfield's booth and say hello.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely stop by and say hi. But you did mention like, like if you need tips and on how to like approach an animation director or something. So what would be your number one tip about approaching a recruiter, either yourself or a different booth? How do you start that conversation?
Honestly, just like come in and say hi and be like, hey, like I'm so and so. I work in this department. I'm interested in these positions. And I mean, we're cool people. I hope.
Very
I
cool.
I feel like most of the recruiters I know are very approachable, and we're there to answer questions. We're there to help guide people, and we're there to hopefully help you guys find jobs, and maybe it's not with us. And I will say this to everybody: like, don't put all your eggs in one basket as well. Like, see what's out there. If you have your heart set on one studio, check out other studios too. There might be another one that really stands out to you in other ways, and eventually maybe you'll come back to the studio that you had your heart set on. And who knows? Like maybe that'll be like next year. Maybe that'll be like next month. Who knows?
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's awesome. I know a lot of students get really nervous before these types of things. I know me and my classmates were when I was in college. It was always like, oh my God, who we talk to? How do we talk to them? How long is too long? So I'm sure a lot of people really appreciate your advice to just, like go up, say hi,
Mhm.
be yourself. Gives them a bit of a game plan on how to start off the fest or
For
the job
sure.
fair.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been to Taffy in person a few times too, and oh yeah, there's a lot of nervous people for sure.
Yeah,
A lot every so often a sweaty handshake. So,
yeah,
um, at least this time, if you're feeling the nerves, like turn off your camera for a minute, take a big breath, deep breath, and drink some water, and like you can kind of you can escape that environment if you need to, like quite easily. But yeah, I mean, it can be a lot. So
yeah.
just know that we're all there to meet you, and we're excited to meet you. So yeah.
That's great. We did have a question that just popped up in chat, so I'm going to pose that. And Manju Zoo, apologies if I totally butchered that and mispronounced it. But they're wondering what kind of 3D positions you guys are looking for. You had mentioned 3D animation,
Mhm.
but what about rigging and other 3D type positions?
Yeah, so we are looking for modelers. We only have a couple of modeler positions open now because we are coming uh, towards the end of filling that team. But definitely looking for animators, definitely looking for riggers. We need quite a few riggers. Surfacing artists, again, just a handful of those because we are almost fully crewed on those teams. Lighting is coming up soon, so definitely lighting and compositing artists, final layout artists or shop finalers. We have a couple of layout positions open too in 3D. 3D layout, not back layout backgrounds
Yeah.
layout. And then we have some FX positions coming up too. So there's a few positions coming up over the next few months. So definitely, if you're interested, come by our booth on Monday and or apply on our website. It's just jamfield.com/careers. You can see all of our openings there.
That's awesome. Yeah, I hope that you got the answer you were looking for. Oh yes. So thank you very much. So for the modeler, will it be characters for for assets and props? They're wondering.
Oh, I'm actually not too sure. It doesn't hurt to showcase all of your modeling skills, whether it's character, prop, or environment as well. I'm not too sure for the position that we currently have open. We typically try to build the team around who we find. So I'm not too sure if they're looking for mainly like character or mainly environment at the moment.
I
Sorry.
I think the best answer for that is show up to the job fair and we'll know by then.
Yes, I will find out for you.
Yeah, she'll find out, so you better show up because she's going through the effort to find out for you. Now I've got the dreaded question for you that we
Sure.
discussed before we went live, and that is what makes a candidate memorable? And if you're not sure of a general quality that makes someone memorable, who's the most memorable person you've ever met at a job fair? Like who stands out to you, or at least why did they stand out to you?
Well, I've got a couple funny stories. I used to work for DHX, and we were working on My Little Pony at the time, and we always had bronies show up to the job fairs. So always, and
Oh,
they
that's
would
great.
kind of hang around the table. They weren't necessarily looking for a job, but often they'd have like a little, like Fluttershy on their backpack or something like that. So
They're like, we're just here to fangirl.
yeah, and because they'd take all the like pony merchandise and like
Oh, I
um,
love that.
we have some funny stories about the bronies from my time there. But yeah, I mean, again, just reiterating the like positive attitude goes a long way, and that always stands out to me when someone is just comes across like really excited for the industry and really excited to work in this industry and work in animation. Like the passion for animation in general is such a big thing, especially for me. Like I've always had a bit of a passion for
Yeah.
animation, and that always stands out to me with candidates for sure.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's amazing. And before we log off, because we are running out of time, I got one more question for you.
Sure.
Where does jam filled get all the jam? How are you guys so filled with jam?
You'll have to ask Mike Hunter that question on
Okay.
Monday.
I will be sure. I will get the answer and I will make sure that everyone knows where all the jam comes from.
I love it.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Lindsay, for joining. Thank you
Yeah.
to everyone who's watching, who tuned in to get a nice, long inside look at Jam Filled. Sorry that we couldn't figure out where the jam is. We'll try again next time. But thanks again, everyone, and stay tuned because we will be going live with more studios tomorrow. I believe we've got House of Cool joining us on Facebook, but we got even more coming to us on Instagram too. And if you're not a part of our Job Fair Discord server, what are you waiting for? Get in there, get excited, see what booths we have this year because they're all set up there and they're ready to go and they're waiting for you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you again, Lindsay. You were
Thank
absolutely
you.
fabulous. Have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you next time on our next Taffy Live.
See you on Monday.
See you on Monday.